Is Magby the best baby Pokemon? We're rating them all, and in battle, it might just be. Its stats are actually really respectable. Of course, it has the bad baby Pokemon defenses, but with enough speed and offensive stats to kind of get around that. You do still have to use it until level 30, which sucks, but you do get it fairly early, and it can put in honestly quite a bit of work in the meantime. Its move pool isn't anything special, pretty typical fire-type attacks with a few support moves, so I think 3 stars is fair. It's also just more available than most babies. You can technically catch and breed a Magmar before the 4th gym in Johto, but then not until after the 6th in Platinum, but then you can just straight up catch it super early in both Unova and Alola, so that averages out to 4 stars in availability. Magmar also got 5 stars in concept for being a mashup of ducks, mythical salamanders of fire, and quite a few mythological and historical references. And Magby is just a baby Magmar. It has the same story, 5 stars. But where Magmar got 4 stars in design, I don't think Magby's is quite as good. Granted, I'm glad they retconned the booby forehead, but otherwise it's just kind of a weird looking little bird dino with a choker. It's pretty meh if we're being honest, but it's not bad and it works as a baby Magmar, 3 stars. So that gives Magby the final score of 3.75 stars overall.
Magmar is up next as we rate them all, and it's actually a lot faster than I remembered. Its stats are actually really solid other than defense and HP. Its move pool is basically the same as Ninetales, with key moves like Flamethrower and Confuse Ray, along with some really nice TM coverage. But it's just a bit more offensive and squishier, so it'll get the same 4 stars in battle prowess. As for availability, it is a version exclusive in the early gens, but available post-Surf in Gen 1, then actually before the 4th gym in Johto, not until after the 7th gym in Leaf Green, and after the 6th in Plat, then around the 4th in Unova, and before the 3rd trial in Alola, so that averages out to 3 stars. Magmar seems to be based on a booby or a duck, with some inspiration from this Japanese legend of a bird-like fire-breathing creature, and that's really cool, 5 stars. Then its design I wasn't actually too high on. A fire duck is really cool, and I like it as a whole, but I've just never been a huge fan of it personally. I was leaning in the 3 to 4 star range, but this is where it gets interesting. On one platform, the votes are leaning towards about 4.5 stars, and on the other, 3 stars is the heavy favorite. So I think with that, I'll settle on 4 stars for design, which gives Magmar the solid final score of 4 stars. Should I do Crystal or Heart Gold for our first stream in between generations?
Wow, if I had a nickel for every time a Kanto Pokemon got a Sinnoh evolution with cannon arms, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. We're rating them all, and Magmortar is definitely an odd one. 125 special attack is amazing, but why did they give it 95 physical attack? It would have been much better to have that in either defense or HP. Though I guess, to be fair, it does actually get some really good physical options, but clearly this is much better as a special attacker. Flame Body is a decent ability, but Magmortar just feels like it needs something more. It has good stats, good moves, a good ability, but just not amazing at anything. 4 stars in battle prowess. Which actually reminds me, I'm going to buff up Weavile's battle prowess and design each by half a star because I was just a bit too harsh there, for being honest. But anyway, Magmortar's availability is kind of complicated. You can find Magmar before the 6th gym in Sinnoh as basically a version exclusive, then right away in Unova as an actual version exclusive, and really early on the 2nd island in Alola. Thankfully, the Magmarizer really isn't that much of an issue, surprisingly, but the trait evolution penalty still stands. So those penalties kind of hammered its score down to 3 stars. Though like Magmar, its concept is awesome. It's based on the Karura, as well as a mythical fire booby duck iguana. Oh, and it has cannon arms, which is just objectively awesome. 5 stars. However, I cannot figure out how I feel about this thing's design. Like at first glance, looking at the whole picture, it's like, oh cool, this thing's awesome. But as soon as you take a closer look at the actual details, it's super goofy. At least it loses the forehead, but now its face looks somehow worse, and otherwise the weird fire egg looking body with the oddly plain legs coming out, and of course, cannon arms. It's a very weird and messy design. This comment has a point. Does it actually look good, or is it just a cool pose? 3.5 stars, which will bring Magmortar to a pretty respectable 3.875 stars overall.